It was supposed to be the perfect day. Sarah's wedding. The sun was shining, flowers were everywhere, and excitement filled the air. She'd planned every single detail to be flawless. Her dress was a dream, and her heart pounded with excitement. She was about to marry Michael, the love of her life. But underneath all that joy, something felt off, a strange nagging unease. Her two best friends, Emily and Grace, were her bridesmaids. They had been inseparable since they were kids, sharing every secret, every dream. But for weeks, Sarah had sensed a tension between them she just couldn't name. It was like a heavy, invisible cloud hanging over what should have been the happiest day of her life. The truth was, Emily and Grace weren't just bridesmaids, they were rivals. Both had been secretly in love with Michael for years. They never told Sarah, never dared to tell Michael. Instead, they waged a silent war for his attention, each convinced their connection was the special one. Emily was the bold one. Vivacious, witty, and always the life of the party. Michael often praised her sharp mind and sense of humor, and their easy banter made Emily believe they shared a deep, unspoken bond. She'd spent years quietly hoping that one day he'd see her as more than just Sarah's friend. Grace was the opposite. Quiet, thoughtful, and reserved. She had known Michael just as long, and they had a gentle, unspoken understanding. Grace treasured their long walks and deep conversations, moments that made her feel closer to him than anyone. Though she was quiet at the wedding, her feelings burned just as fiercely as Emily's, hidden beneath a calm surface. As the ceremony began, Sarah stood at the altar, lost in Michael's eyes. Everything seemed perfect. But behind her radiant smile, a storm was brewing. She could feel the tension radiating from Emily and Grace, standing just feet away. They exchanged polite smiles, but their eyes kept flicking towards each other, then back to Michael. Walking down the aisle, Sarah caught glimpses of them. It was like they were sizing each other up, their smiles thin and tight. Emily was clearly trying to stand out, her laugh a little too loud, her smile a little too bright. Grace, ever subtle, seemed to shrink into herself, trying to stay composed. But Sarah saw it all. She saw the way Emily's eyes lingered on Michael, the way Grace stole glances at him throughout the vows. At the reception, the rivalry exploded. The room buzzed with celebration, but the cracks started to show. Emily and Grace began a subtle game of one-upmanship, each trying to win Michael's attention. Emily was first on the dance floor with him, twirling in a way that screamed, "Look at me." Michael laughed at her jokes, playing along. But when Grace cut in for a dance, Emily's smile faltered. She quickly pulled Michael closer, whispering something in his ear that made him laugh again. Stung by Emily's move, Grace played her own card. She drew Michael into a quiet conversation, leaning in just a bit too close, her voice low and intimate. She brought up old memories, inside jokes only they would understand. Michael seemed to enjoy the attention. But watching from across the room, Sarah's heart sank. She saw a flicker of something in Michael's eyes she didn't like. He looked trapped between them, unsure how to handle their silent battle. As the night wore on, it got worse. Emily, growing bolder, started making snide remarks to Grace. "You know, Grace," she said with a smirk, "you should really let Michael see the real you. You're so quiet. You'll scare him off with all that mystery." Grace's eyes narrowed. "At least I don't have to try so hard, Emily," she shot back, her voice like ice. Not everyone needs to make a spectacle of themselves. Their eyes locked in a silent challenge. Watching them, Sarah felt like she was suffocating. This wasn't her wedding day. This was a battlefield, and her two best friends were the soldiers, fighting over her new husband. She couldn't ignore it anymore. She pulled Michael aside, desperate for a moment of peace, but even his voice was strained. "Sarah, I don't know what's going on with them." "I'm just trying to keep the peace," he said, but his hesitation made her stomach churn. Later that night, in their hotel suite, the weight of the evening came crashing down. She had seen how Emily and Grace behaved, their subtle but pointed attempts to steal Michael's focus, feeding off each other's jealousy. Michael wrapped his arms around her. "I'm sorry, Sarah, I know today was hard. I'll talk to them, I promise." But Sarah pulled away. It's not just about them, Michael. It's about us. Don't you see what's happening? You're caught in their rivalry, and I feel like I'm the one being ignored. Guilt flashed across Michael's face. I didn't mean to hurt you, but you have to understand, I'm trying to be fair. I don't want to upset anyone. Sarah shook her head. But you're not being fair, you're letting them tear us apart. Why aren't you standing up for me? As if on cue, there was a knock. Emily and Grace stood at the door, looking determined. The tension was suffocating. The rivalry was no longer a secret. Emily stepped forward, her eyes blazing. You have to choose, Michael, she demanded. You can't have us both. It's either me, or it's her. Grace, pale with frustration, cut in. You've never even considered me, have you? All this time, I've been your quiet support. And now I'm just left out. Before Michael could even speak, Sarah stood up. A new clarity burned in her eyes. No more, she said, her voice steady, even as her heart was breaking. I am not going to let this ruin us. Not today, not ever. She turned to Emily and Grace. This is my wedding day. I will not let either of you make it about yourselves. If you can't respect that, then I don't want you in my life anymore. With that, she walked out of the room, leaving them stunned into silence. Michael followed, speechless. The damage was done. Her celebration of love had been poisoned by jealousy. As Sarah walked away from the chaos, she realized something powerful. Sometimes, love isn't enough to fix everything. Sometimes, you have to let go of the people who don't respect you, even if they're your closest friends. In the end, Sarah's decision to stand up for herself was a turning point. She would never again let anyone dim her own light. The rivalry that started in the shadows had been dragged into the light, and in doing so, it revealed what truly mattered, her own peace. Thank you so much for watching. If this story resonated with you, please hit that like button and subscribe for more content. We'll see you in the next video.